Well, with Star Trek Picard, the end is the beginning. Yeah, well, we'll see about that, won't we? Well, that's the title of the third episode. And pretty much in mood and a pace, it's pretty much the same thing as the second one. Now, of course, there's sinister forces at work, and you seemingly get clues, a couple that are extremely creepy. But the biggest problem, one of the big problems here is at the outset of this whole Romulan deal, where the supernova that destroyed Romulus, which was detailed in the 2009 Star Trek movie, and here we have this story in which Picard, rescued the Romulans in some form or fashion, and orchestrated this evacuation for them or what have you. But the problem, why did you have to do that? Why is it that the Romulans couldn't? The Romulans have an empire, they have their own fleet of starships, and they could have handled this themselves. So that really just doesn't make any sense. There's no explanation for it, and I don't expect there'll be one forthcoming, except maybe some stupid line of dialogue along the lines of, "No one will ever speak of Michael Burnham again." Yeah, that doesn't work. And they kind of miss it. Now, perhaps the show will detail this along the way. I'm not a fan of their preaching because I don't agree with it, and also because they just don't have the skill for it. But my guess is that the message here is, since you have Picard calling the Federation a bigoted and xenophobic and fearful or what have you, which doesn't work at all, considering if you had any inkling of knowledge of the Federation within the lore of Star Trek, you would have individuals here and there in different scenarios, but the idea that just based on, well, they're different from us, no. The fear of the Romulans would have been after the years of war of happening, but the idea that the Federation is that when it's composed of I don't know how many different planets of alien species and whatnot, but they're the bigots, and the Romulans, which is all Romulans. And so there's no diversity in the Romulan Empire. I mean, yeah, some of them have the weird foreheads and some don't, but beyond that, that's about it. So that's pretty stupid. But the idea that what's the analogy? I would assume that it has to do with the Syrian war, and you had the refugee crisis and all of that, but then you get into that area of lashing out at people who were fearful of rape gangs and all this sort of thing that happened. Yeah, that's not a good idea. I don't know that you'd really want to touch on that, but then keep it nebulous so that you can't really say it's that for such just the general idea that this is the motivation for the story. But again, it doesn't fit within the lore of Star Trek. That in total, the Federation would move against Picard's, idea to rescue a people when they probably could have said, "Look, they got their own fleet. Why are you even bothering?" That being said, if the Syrian war was the analogy, then here you have an idea where Romulus is destroyed, and the Empire collapses into civil war because each governor declares themselves as a new leader, or what was it, the Praetor or whatever they call it, where they're claiming leadership of the Empire, and so it splits up among the star systems, and the losers end up seeking refuge within the Federation. And so that would probably make more sense. Perhaps they'll get there and say that's there, but that should have been the get-go. I don't think they understand what a supernova is and how that would work. It's just bizarre and reeks of slap job, and it's to be expected because that's the kind of dumb crap that happened throughout the 2 seasons of Discovery. So still, this one flows a little better. So So Picard, of course, they have a flashback. Each episode seems to, I mean, the first one was really a dream, but maybe that's going to be a running theme where there's a flashback at the opening of the show. And so there you go. And we see Picard and this other character who could have been, pick one out of Next Generation. Why they didn't do that, I don't know. One story was that Patrick Stewart didn't want to act with the other characters anymore. He wanted everything to be new or some crap like that. I don't know. But it could have been Geordi. It could have been Worf or Beverly. But no, it's this new character, Raffi. And this was at 13 years ago. They showed this scene where the Federation has rejected Picard's plan to save the Romulans, and I can't believe the Federation has fallen to ignorance and xenophobia or whatever and all this sort of stuff. And so he says, either take the plan or I resign. So they said, well, we take your resignation. So that was the end of his career. And then Raffi, as a result of being a part of his or standing by him or what have you, she gets booted out. Plus she oddly enough, she had beliefs that the Romulans had infiltrated the Federation. It's just kind of what they would be afraid of. It doesn't make any sense. But then there's this strange mystery of why the Romulans didn't want the rescue. Somebody within Romulan, whatever, didn't want the rescue to happen. And meanwhile, the strange mystery of their aversion to, androids. I guess we'll find out that at some distant past they had androids within Romulan society, and they turned on them, probably ripping that off from the Dune history and all that. Perhaps that'll be what the big revelation of why they don't like androids. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. Plus now the scene wasn't very well done. Granted it's 13 years ago, but it's Picard still looked pretty old. I guess they didn't have the de-aging stuff. Plus his voice is just not what it used to be and all that. The uniform design is not bad. It does have this derivative look for what the Next Generation style was. And so that's fine. It's just that I don't know, it kind of looks like it didn't really fit on Picard, but again, he's older and all that. I don't know. So they pretty much slapped that through. And then so Raffi, she loses her career and everything and becomes an alcoholic. And she's mad at Picard. And with good reason, she says, you never called. You never checked up on me. And he's, that's a good point. And he's, oh, Raffi. Oh, well. So... but he needs her to get a ship, and so he's just going to lead her off into some idiot mission again. Of course, she says, I'm not going, and then she goes. And, well, I'm not here for you. I'm here for something, yeah, she's on the crew. They introduce this Han Solo ripoff character who will be the captain of the ship, but we all know who will be the real captain. And he's got this artificial hologram, doctor guy who looks just like him but has a totally different personality, and that's all for tee-hees and ha-has and all that. And then, of course, Agnes, the android, the specialist in synthetic life forms doctor who studied under Maddox. She wants to go on this too because, they're going to need her expertise in that anyway, so she joins with him. I'm getting that she's going to be like the Tilly character. She's the geeky, nerdy girl. And at the outset, she seems okay. She seems to do that role well. But then I thought that of Tilly in Discovery in the first season, and then the next season she just became a mockery of herself. So, yeah, I don't know. But so far, so good, I guess. But that's the role she plays. And so there she's on the ship. They're very Star Wars looking ship. Yeah. That, takes off. And they're finally in space, but only at the very end of the episode. So 3 episodes. Meanwhile, the sinister forces are plotting over at the Borg cube, where they're still trying to, bring people back from being assimilated. And it appears to be they're all Romulans. This is a Romulan operation, so there's all these Romulans there. And Special Girl Soji manages to coax one of them out of her fugue state after being assimilated in the Borg. They're all messed up mentally, and they're trying to, therapeutically bring them back to their original selves. But this woman is totally lost, but she knows something and then recognizes Soji as a terrible harbinger of doom or what have you, and was asking her, which one are you? Which one are you? Like she knew they were twins. Are you the one who dies or the one who lives and destroys us all? And tries to kill her and all this stuff. Meanwhile, Soji suddenly starts demonstrating special knowledge of Romulan secrets and whatnot, yet how could she? And she's like, I don't even know how I knew that. Well, we know it's somewhere deep within her, in her data, if you will. So then she's kind of freaked out about this, so she calls Mom, like who wouldn't? But of course by now pretty much know that Mom doesn't exist. She's just a digital facsimile, and she's asking about Dodge because of that woman talking about which one of you died, and she says, Dodge is fine. She's thinking about, I don't know, getting a kitty cat or something, and she's like, oh great, and then she, I don't know, passes out, so I'm guessing that's part of her processing or whatnot. My guess is the fake mom is actually Maddox. He made this simulation, and there never was a mother, and it's all planted memories and whatnot. And so when we finally complete the search for Maddox, we'll find out probably he's a villain. But anyway, a creepy emo Romulan boyfriend comes in, and but that's nothing. He's seducing her, and eventually we'll have the scene where falling in love was never part of the plan. But then she'll find out the truth and won't love him anymore, and he'll be heartbroken. And then he'll probably do one last great sacrifice for her and then die in her arms and that sort of thing. Meanwhile, he's been recruited by his sister, who's part of the, well, not the Tal Shiar, but the deeper, darker Black Ops Romulan thing. I forget what the name was. And she... So she's got her ears back, but they have a secret meeting, and then she starts sniffing him because she says she can smell her on him. And she's clearly jealous of the... it's, very incestuous, creepy crap. And do you really want to do that? So they threw that in there, but hey, they're the evil ones, so, well, that's what they do. So, yeah, and then she, of course, the line, don't fall in love, brother. And, of course, he's already in love with her. So, Soji, which is better than being with his sister. But anyway, so that's all predictable. The Romulans show up again. The Black Ops show up to kill Picard, and his housekeepers managed to whoop ass, even the guy, which I was surprised. And but then Picard falls for the same old trick. They capture one of them after killing the rest, I guess. Even Agnes kills one, albeit kind of accidentally. But he falls for the same old trick. The guy had this poison pill in his mouth. He bites on it and he disintegrates. And Picard's, oh, damn it. I mean, how stupid are you? So he had some sinister sayings. You don't know what she really is, and all this sort of stuff. And then, you could tell him, and then he dies. So anyway, Picard gets his ship, and off he goes. And even then, Agnes tells him, well, I was talking to the chief of Starfleet Security, this Vulcan woman. And it's a dead giveaway. It says, oh, well, she's in cahoots. There you go. The whole secret plot. It's right there. But, oh, well, we've got to go into space. And so, they do. And, that's it. There you are. Boy, I've been doing these videos on classic Star Trek. And I recently did Balance of Terror, which had more depth and, the display of the two sides in that conflict. Even a bigoted character had more in-depth, characterization there. It wasn't just slapped on and everything. And then to see this, maybe it would have been better if I'd seen this episode before I rewatched Balance of Terror. But oh my God, pretty bad. Still better than Discovery though. But Well, they're finally going to be in space, so it looks like they're going to have some little adventures here and there in their search for Maddox. So that'll be the first thing they do. Then they'll have to do their search for Soji. And rumor has it Q will show up at the end, and we'll see what that's about. But that's probably a clue as to what the next season would be about. Yeah, but again, it's slow dragging. It has a lot of stupid stuff with it that could be explained, could be resolved. But maybe they will. Maybe they will. But so far, I don't know. It's starting to fall back in old stupidity of previous efforts of this iteration of Star Trek. But anyway, there you go. Star Trek, the end is the beginning. Oh, yeah. Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you. T-shirts, hats, mugs, all that good stuff. And head over to IndiePlanet.com where you can get a copy of my comic book Night Night based on my audio plays of the same name. That's right. And, of course, you can listen to the podcast Mr Nailsin Show over at RadioMisfits.com where there's occasionally new episodes of Night Night on that show. And, of course, you can watch my videos also on that other platform, BitChute. Yes, the Mr. Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.